Hello everyone, here we are in Oschersleben. We are psyched because it's the second half of the DTM season 2026. We are psyched. There's so many people already running about and yeah, let's do it. Let's go qualifying. And the man who's leading the championship is this guy right here, Nicki Thiim. He is the king of the Norrisring because he had a double victory in Norrisring and leader of the championship, so we're psyched about that. And he's also halftime champion, and knowing him, he probably had at least 2 espressos before the qualifying, and we see him sitting there in the car all getting ready because he knows how crucial the qualifying is. He knows how crucial it is. Every single point counts, and this season DTM is just so super tight, so super exciting. And yeah, we're psyched, so let's do it. Let's go qualifying, and yeah, here are your commentators. Do enjoy. See you later.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Oschersleben and to the start of the second half of what's already proving to be a fascinating 2026 season of DTM. A big crowd already gathering. We got to the circuit around about 8 o'clock this morning, queuing to get in already. We're expecting a potentially record crowd here around this 3.667 kilometre long circuit. A technical track this, not the fastest circuit on the calendar. In particular, the middle sector, which has got a triple left-hander and hairpin and a chicane, is where you've really got to make sure your car is handling well. You're overlooking there the run into turn 1, which is a tight left-hander, into the first sweeping, arcing, almost hairpin right-hander at the hotel curva. And as Verena said, there is your championship leader, the 4th different driver to lead the championship at some point or another. And it's Nicki Thiim, championship leader in the DTM for the first time after picking up Aston Martin's first ever wins in the championship, and a pair of them as well at the Norrisring. His second and third wins of his career. All of his wins, Nicki Thiim, have come at the Norrisring and Come To You Racing, only in their second season of the championship, doing a phenomenal job with that Aston Martin. Their pit stops, their car preparation, all top draw to take Nicki to the top of the table. However, an asterisk against that statement is the fact that Oschersleben is not a circuit which is best suited to the Aston Martin, so it might be more of a struggle for him to compete here. Whereas, who are his nearest rivals? Maro Engel, Luca Auer, always up there, always there or thereabouts. And they're only 9 and 11 points behind, respectively. There are 56 points up for grabs this weekend. You get 25 points for a race win. You can get 3 points for qualifying on pole, 2 for qualifying second, and 1 for qualifying third. So it's a very narrow championship lead. And we had Mercedes on pole positions here last year. Luca Auer and Jules Gounon were the 2 pole sitters here last year. But on what was a much cooler weekend, because it's this afternoon potentially going to get up to around about 27 degrees. We're not used to those sorts of temperatures at this track because it's normally been, for the last 3 years, the season opener. And we come here in April and it's much, much cooler. So with a new tyre on the car this year, the new DTM specific tyre produced by Pirelli, a little bit softer the tyre. The fact that the track temperatures are much higher than normal, it's a learning curve for everybody here. There's Finn Wiebelhaus, one of the stars of the season so far. His first season of DTM. He was the driver that scored the first ever podium for the Ford Mustang and HRT a couple of rounds ago at the Lausitzring, and he was back on the podium and nearly won a race. It was a very close finish, just 0.4 of a second behind Nicki Thiim to finish second on the Sunday at the Norrisring. But again, the Ford Mustang struggling a bit here. Is Arjun Maini, who will absolutely be listening to heavy rock music because that's his thing, to psych himself up. And he had a great weekend as well on the podium, on the third step of the podium, and also scoring a 4th place finish to move himself up to 7th place in the championship now with HRT. Thomas Preining, though, is the driver that was fastest yesterday, not just once but twice in both free practice sessions. He was also quickest in one of the free practice sessions here last year, and his teammate Riccardo Feller in the other man-type Porsche that was second quickest in both of those free practice sessions. So having had a tough year so far, with the exception really of that race win that he scored in the season opener at Red Bull Ring, Thomas Preining, who's been on the podium here, nearly won a race here, but for a pit stop penalty that he received, he might have won a race here a couple of years ago. But Porsche have got good form here. They've had more podiums than any other brand since we returned to the circuit in 2023. There was an 8-year hiatus from this circuit, and DTM came here in 2015, and a certain Timo Glock was a race winner in his BMW, his Class 1 BMW, one of the 2 BMWs that won that weekend. And it was 8 years before we came back in 2023. Franck Pereira getting Lamborghini's first ever win in DTM. That weekend, Christian Engelhardt won in a Porsche as well, surprise victory. We had Jack Aitken in a Ferrari, Luca Engstler in a Lamborghini getting his first ever win in 2024, and then Luigi Auer from pole. And our engine Nguyen, of course, went on to win the championship last year, was the other race winner here in 2025. So it's going to be unpredictable because we've had, in the last 6 races, 6 different winners and 6 different pole sitters as well. 20 minutes of qualifying then. They head out onto the track. They'll just do a recce lap, essentially, get some heat from the brakes to soak through heat into the tyres. They'll all sit in the pits, no doubt, for 5 or 6 minutes, and then they'll all go charging out for 2, maybe 3 fast laps of qualifying in the last 7 or 8 minutes of the session. The Ford Mustangs are better at most at warming their tyres up quickly, so they might not go out in sync with everybody else. So here at Oschersleben, big crowd gathered, second half of the season about to get underway, and our first qualifying session coming up. My name's Chris Hartley. Welcome along then to our coverage of qualifying 1. Alongside me, it's good morning to Brian Oliver.
Morning, Chris. Morning, everybody. Welcome to this glorious hot and sunny Oschersleben. As you already mentioned, we're not used to being in shorts and t-shirts here. It is very nice indeed as we see the cars out doing that installation lap to generate the heat in the tyres, in the brakes, dragging the brakes to try and get some warmth through the tyre rims and into the tyres from the inside. Marco Wittmann trying to find a bit of space on track already. It's really interesting the way the season ebbs and flows. Last time out at the Norris Ring, the Aston Martin was looking unbeatable, certainly was in the hands of Nicki Thiim. Nobody could live with him, as Marco Wittmann's on team radio.
Next time I need a few countdown, and we need to start the engine earlier, boys. We were too late on this.
Interesting, Marco.
Yeah, copy that. For now, focus on the heat soak, please. We come straight back in, so straight away, box.
Frustrated about...
Reminder, we want to do this heat soak lap quicker than usual.
Marco frustrated about traffic, even though it is just the installation lap. But clearly they're going to come back in and sit in the pits. But it's interesting how it ebbs and flows. As I said, the Aston Martin, nobody could live with that in the hands of Nicki Thiim last time out. But yesterday, it was certainly the Manthey Porsches, both Thomas Preining and Riccardo Feller, who were the class of the field. And that's just the way it is with DTM, isn't it? How from weekend to weekend, circuit to circuit, it favours different cars and different configurations. And as you already mentioned, Arjun Maini in the Mustang there, taking his time because, as Finn Wiebelhaus was saying yesterday when I was talking to him, it's great that the Mustang can get the tyres into the window nice and quickly, but the problem is it gets out of the window nice and quickly as well, especially in this kind of heat.
Yeah, one car that is consistently quick, maybe not always the fastest, but always thereabouts, is just about the oldest car on the grid there, the Mercedes. So there is Luigi Auer, last year's championship runner-up, a race winner here last year. One of only 3 drivers on the grid, actually, that's won a race here in the DTM. And he is going back into the Landgraf garages, his second season with that team, having previously raced for 4 years with the Winwood team on the same side of the garage as Maro Engel. He's got Jules Gounon with him. Jules Gounon looking to get his season underway as well, really, after a really frustrating first half to 2026, which sees the Frenchman down in 11th place in the championship and yet to score a podium. Nicki Thiim, though, 007. 40 years since his dad won the championship, Kurt Thiim, in 1986. He was an 18-time race winner, Kurt Thiim. So there'd be some symmetry, wouldn't there, if Nicki could do it. And his first season actually racing an Aston Martin in the championship, but his 11th season as an Aston Martin factory driver. Great to see Kelvin van der Linde back in action. Of course, if you watched or read about the coverage at and the events at the Norris Ring in our last race weekend 3 weeks ago, you'll have seen there was a horror crash where Max Powell got on an oil slick that had been left on the run into the first hairpin, had no chance of slowing the car down, and from a long way back at high speed, his Lamborghini straight into the side of an unsuspecting Kelvin van der Linde. Huge impact. Both were taken to hospital. Kelvin happily got away with some heavy bruising, but was relatively quickly discharged. and indeed bounced back fantastically last weekend at Misano to get a double race victory in the GT World Challenge, which was pretty epic. There's his team boss to the right of the picture, Torsten Schubert. It's their home race. They've got an even bigger hospitality unit than normal here. Loads of guests and sponsors for the team, who 2 years ago very nearly won a race here with Marco Wittmann. He just had a fuel issue 4 laps from home. Brian, we've discovered what's inside that mug that Torsten drinks. He's always calmly sipping from that mug. We thought it was tea, but it's not, is it?
No, I actually asked him at Norris Ring, I said, what is it that's in that mug? And he said, coffee, black and strong. I think that's exactly what you need. It's what he needs here this weekend at his home track, the Schubert Motorsport team, based local to here, and of course the Schubert garages scattered all around the Magdeburg area and here near Oschersleben. And they've got a lot of guests and a big party here as part of the Schubert Motorsport crew as well. But of course it's a track that doesn't always favour the BMW, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed so. They came close, as I said, to that race victory, but it's the Porsches that have had the most podiums. Nobody's really dominated in terms of brands for the last 3 years since the GT3 era. Big crowd gathered. We had around about 48,000 here last year. I think it was 47,500. Could be even bigger than that. And a whopping 118,500 were at the Norris Ring for the street race a few weeks ago, which was fantastic. DTM more popular than ever. The fans get really close to the action here at Oschersleben in the paddock. It's quite a close-knit paddock, and at the circuit has far fewer grandstands than most tracks and a lot more grass banking where you can sit out on the grass and be just a few metres away. You're slightly elevated in the grass banking as well, but pretty close to the track, only 6 to 8 metres above the track. So it's kind of a natural amphitheatre and a great opportunity for the fans to get close to the drivers and to the cars. Right, let's get some news from Verena down in the pit lane.
And I'm here with Uli Fritz from HRT. Uli, tell us about this situation. Qualifying began and now everyone's taking their time. What exactly is being done? What are you talking about? What are the mechanics up to? Just talk us through this a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you have different approaches to the qualifying always. There are teams which are doing the so-called heat soak laps. So you're going out, you try to heat up the car, try to heat up the tires in the pit to generate the maximum pressure and also grip for the push laps. We have certainly a different approach to it. With the Ford, it's slightly different because we get more heat into the tires normally directly. So we are not doing heat soak lap. We're just waiting for the track to evolve and being out on the track as late as possible and then trying to get some laps in.
And tell us about Finn. I mean, he's kind of being celebrated at the moment, like so tell us about that. I mean, he's doing really well.
I mean, it's great to see his development over the last years. I mean, he started with us 2 years ago, and we went through the ranks of GT Masters, and he won it last year. He won the the Road to DTM championship, and then finally he got into DTM. And I think this shows also for all the young kids out there that this is possible, and there is a way to end up in DTM and to get into the highest ranks of it. And at the moment, I mean, also he's doing a great job. I mean, we were on the podium in the last 2 events. So with him, 1 third place, 1 second place. I struggle to believe this will be possible here because this track is for sure not our one. But we always keep fighting, we keep pushing, and try to get the best out of it.
Of course you do. All right. Well, thank you so much, Uli. Best of luck for the qualifying, and back to you.
Excellent. Great explanation there of how it all works in qualifying, the process from Uli Fritz, team boss at HRT. Used to be with the HWA team back in the Class 1 days and running the Mercedes program. Hugely experienced and became a major stakeholder in Hubert Haupt's team, the HRT team, which is based not too far away at all from the Nürburgring, their home race coming up next in a couple of weeks' time. And a championship-winning team, of course. They won the 2021 title, the first ever season of GT3 racing in the DTM with Maximilian Götz, who is here this weekend in his role of, when he's not racing, being involved in media and commentary. So doing some TV commentary for German television this weekend, the 2021 champion. There's Bastian Buus heading out onto the circuit in the Land Motorsport car. Land put out a post on Instagram earlier this week saying, well, this is his home race, basically, because this is the most northerly circuit. Oschersleben is around about an hour and a half's drive from Berlin. The closest city is Magdeburg, which is about 30 kilometres from here, about a 30-minute drive away, kind of northeast of Germany. But they said, well, this is the closest one to Denmark, so basically this is his home race. But Brian, it's been a pretty miserable time for Bastian so far this weekend.
Yeah, team radio.
So it seems like we are the first going out. It can be that we have some traffic in the first flying lap from cars that are coming out in front of us. So we will manage the gap.
Yeah, I chatted to Bastian last night and he was distinctly gloomy. He's looking forlornly at the two identical Manthey Porsches at the other end of the timing screens after free practice yesterday. And Bastian was like, well, we're really struggling here to get a balance, but we're throwing everything at it. We're trying something different. They're trying something different at the moment, as you've already seen, out on track on his own. He's got the clear track in front of him while he's heating the tyres up, of course, keeping that space when everybody else is out warming their tyres up when he's possibly on a push lap could be a bit of a challenge. Talking about HRT just now, and Finn Wiebelhaus, I also spoke to him yesterday, and he was very frustrated, actually, the fact that he didn't win at the Norris Ring. He finished his second, and he said it was the pit stop was long. Without that long pit stop, we would have won the race. Ifs and buts. And I'm like, well, don't worry about it. Your chance will come soon. He's like, you have to take every opportunity in DTM. I said to him, GT Masters, you did the road to DTM, and he said the GT Masters title was easy compared to this.
Yeah, the road to DTM, by the way, the ADAC who run the championship, run DTM, run the GT Masters Championship, run the GT4 Championship, and involved heavily in karting. They've got this whole pyramid to bring young German drivers up into the top level of GT3 racing, and Finn is a real success story because he's come all the way up through karting. Manuel Reuter, former DTM star himself, was involved with the team, was the one that sort of persuaded him and his dad to not go down the single-seater route. He'd started to go down that route, racing single-seaters, but single-seater racing in terms of junior category is difficult for German drivers because there is no German F4 championship or F3 championship. I think really for them to come up through, they have to go international racing. And he said, look, unless you've got the serious funding, this is your best option. Persuaded him to go down the GT route, and as we heard with Samuel Vega last year, driving for HRT, driving a Ford Mustang, exactly the same car as this, albeit with different tyres these days. He won the title last year, and he's been superb so far this year. Got on the front row of the grid in his second ever qualifying session, did Finn Wiebelhaus at the Red Bull Ring. Just to remind you, he's only 19 years old. And then a podium, the first ever for the Ford Mustang, as I said, at the Lausitz Ring, and then second place right behind Nicki Thiim last time out. Arjun Maini with 2 fourths and a third in his last 3 races. They've been on fine form, both going really well. In terms of qualifying this year, the drivers that have been on pole position, Maro Engel was on pole in the very first race of the season, his first pole for a couple of years, that was. Got his first win for a couple of years later in the season as well, later in the weekend as well. Kelvin van der Linde was on pole for race 2 at the Red Bull Ring. Then we went to Zandvoort, pole position on Saturday, went to Matteo Cairoli, and Kelvin van der Linde became the first driver to get 2 pole positions on Sunday. Then we went to the Lausitz Ring. Nicki Thiim got his first pole position in the Aston Martin. Arjun Maini was on pole on Sunday, and then double pole, double win, perfect point scoring situation for Nicki Thiim last time out. So he's had now 3 pole positions. He scored 10 championship points, which is the equivalent of a 6th place finish, just through the points that he's managed to pick up in qualifying alone. Right, yesterday, the times in free practice were in the mid-122s, 122.4s, but we should be into the low 121s in qualifying.
Track position is good, Preining behind.
Yeah, the qualifying lap record set last year by Luca Auer, 121.004, but new tyre, Brian, much warmer conditions. Let's see if we're going a little bit quicker or maybe even a little bit slower than we did last year.
One thing about the Mercedes AMG is it does look to be pretty consistent across most tracks, whereas some of the other brands, they really shine at one kind of circuit and not so at another. The Mercedes just seems to be fairly constant, and when you've got the likes of Maro Engel, Lucas Auer, Jules Gounon, Tom Callender at the wheel of those cars, they are always there or thereabouts. I'm just looking here at the cars along the straight. You can see them weaving. This is exactly the problem that Bastian Boos's engineer would have told him about, because of course he's got the tyres up to temperature. He will be getting close to his push lap before too long, and you've got tyres still coming into the window on other cars in front of him. It was interesting that Finn Wiebelhaus came out of the pits and was instantly the quickest of anybody. Obviously, we're not at the benchmark times yet, but that just shows how the Mustang does heat those tyres up quicker.
Yeah, well, we were speaking to Bernd Schneider yesterday, five-time champion, legend of the sport, most winning driver in the championship's history, and he's running, looking after Tom Callender, using all of his experience. Tom, the youngest driver in the field, in his second season at DTM in the Mercedes, as teammate to Luca Auer, and he was saying, round here, it's a slightly unique surface on the circuit. It's quite a smooth surface, and the rubber, the dead rubber from the tyres, the marbles, you have to be careful, you have to be quite aggressive to get the tyres up to temperature quite quickly, because if you don't, he said, the tyres, especially with these stickier tyres, and this was confirmed to us by Emil Frey, they're picking up those marbles and you can't get rid of them, so your tyre isn't perfectly smooth, perfectly round, and it becomes difficult, and they're really having to scrape them off at the end of the sessions with the scrapers. So he was saying Tom needs to be a bit more aggressive on the outlap. So perhaps that ties in what we've just seen. Bastian Boost, the first one to set a representative time then. Yeah, 122.430. That's kind of matching what we saw in free practice yesterday. We know they've got to go quicker than that, but he's laid down the marker. The lap as ever is divided into 3 sectors, so we can follow the lap's progress. If it goes green on your graphic there on the screen, that means it's a personal best sector or personal best lap overall. If it's purple, it is an absolute best. If it's white, it's not as good.
2.8. Remember, you can go golf free, you can go golf free. The cars in front are slowing down a bit.
There is Finn Wiebelhaus then in the Ford Mustang. Yeah, Sector 1 takes you from the start-finish line, obviously, into the first corner. The left-hander, 240 kilometres an hour you go into that at. You're down to 85 kilometres an hour in second gear through the right-hander at the Hotel Curve, turn 1. Short link straight up into a left-hand hairpin at the Hasserode curve at 90 kilometres an hour. That's where Sector 1 ends. Sector 2 takes in the triple left-hander, the right hairpin at turn 7, the chicane at turns 8 and 9, and the run onto the back straight. And Sector 3 is the S-bend section, and the last 2 corners of the lap. Preining, 121.997. Starting to get there now with the times. Remember, 121.004 is the qualifying lap record.
Yeah, that's the quickest we've had so far over this weekend. Class 3 under investigation, impeding car 48. So that'll be Kelvin van der Linde impeding Jules Gounon at turn 10. So that's something that he could do without at the moment. You're talking about the surface of the track. I did a track run yesterday evening. I was really taken aback by how smooth it really is. I thought, has this place been resurfaced? Because the tarmac looked absolutely brand new, especially round towards turns 2, 3 and 4. Really, really smooth. And that just kind of confirms what you were saying about that smooth surface and making the tyres, this new tyre, a little bit unpredictable, as Luca Engstler now goes the quickest of anybody in Sector 1, personal best in Sector 2. So once again, the Lamborghini Temerario looking pretty competitive after a slow start to the year, but now very much on the pace. So here comes Luca Engstler. He's going to cross the line. Is this going to beat Thomas Preining's time? It's a 122.096, so up to P3. Meanwhile, Lugi's up to second.
Preining goes through. What's that lap time going to be like for the Austrian? It's a 121.862, so he brings the pace down even a little bit more. I'm starting to think we're not going to get down to those below 121s that we had last year. But, yeah, very good effort from Luca Engstler. He was third quickest in free practice 2 yesterday, in the top 10 in free practice 1 as well. Mirko Bortolotti was also thereabouts, and he's on screen now, the 2024 champion, after a tough year and a half, really, in the DTM since he won his title at Hockenheim at the end of the previous season. And into 4th place goes the Italian, 122.182. Here is Jules Gounon, though. This is the scene of his one and only pole position so far in DTM, and he got his first podium finish here as well. The Frenchman on the attack. That car has been on edge all weekend long. He was one of the drivers really pushing it coming out of the final turn in all of the free practice laps that we saw him do yesterday. Let's see if he goes right to the edge of the circuit again. Yes, of course he does. Pushing it all the way. This looks like a decent lap from from Jules Gounon. Where is he going to put the Mercedes driver? Onto the second row of the grid provisionally. He goes fourth quickest, so it's Preining quickest, Auer second, and off screen, Ben Durr, who's been a real star this year, race winner of course, he's into the top 3 in the McLaren, but Maro Engel now gets himself onto the front row of the grid, goes second, but it's for about 3 seconds because Luca Engstler's right behind him, and he now goes a little bit quicker, so Preining still top, but only by 70 thousandths of a second. Engstler second, Engel third, Auer, Durr and Gounon in the top 6.
Brilliant stuff. Only 4 cars into the 21s at the moment, but with time running out, just 20 seconds on the clock. Arjun Maini, is there anything more to come from him? He's in 11th at the moment. Timo Glock's improved. He's up to P9. So Timo Glock into the top 10, but still more to come maybe. So here's Arjun Maini, Thierry Vermeulen. You can see on screen he's done a personal best as well. He'll be looking to improve on his 16th place, which is where he's at the moment. So Vermeulen is on his last attempt to move up the grid. The checkered flag is out. Any cars that are on a lap at the moment, as long as they cross the line before the clock struck 0, they will be able to count that lap. So Thierry Vermeulen, personal best in Sector 1, not so in Sector 2. So 16th is going to be maybe an improvement, but I don't think he's going to be troubling the absolute front of the grid, and he aborts that lap and peels off into the pit lane.
BMW struggle as well. Wittmann's already in the pits. He's only 13th. Van der Linde only 15th, but we know those cars are not best suited to this circuit, those BMWs, and they tend to go better in race conditions. But it is Thomas Preining that ends the session on top, as he's been all weekend long. There he is, your pole sitter, a 121.862. It wasn't as quick as we went last year, but it's more than quick enough for Thomas. By 70 thousandths of a second, he secures what is actually only his 5th pole position in the championship. And would you believe that is Thomas Preining's first pole for almost 2 years? The Lausitz-Ring 2024 was the last time he was on pole position. Amazing that. He's had plenty of podiums and wins since then, but he's not offered on pole position. But that was a great effort, and hats off to Luca Engstler. He is driving brilliantly this year in a new car, a new team, and not that much experience still these days in GT3 racing compared to some of the drivers out there. The former TCR champion, a 121.932. He's got himself onto the front row of the grid for Abt in the Lamborghini Temeraria. Could they get their second podium of the year after Marco Mappelli secured their first earlier in the season? Maro Engel, Lucas Auer, they're always there, aren't they? 4th for Auer, then 3rd for Engel, and there's not much between either of them. 24 thousandths of a second between the two Mercedes drivers. Ben Durr is there in 5th, Jules Gounon in 6th place. So Maro Engel scores a point and closes up a little bit to Nicki Thiim.
Luca Engstler is under investigation for impeding Tom Callender.
Very relaxed and calm,
yes,
Thomas
absolutely.
Preining there. The delayed team radio thanking the team and the engineer. So there you go, the corrected points with Maro Engel closing the gap from 9 to 8 points now. Lugia just misses out on a point in 4th. So still 11 points between the top 3. Matteo Caroli, 4th in the championship. In the Ferrari, he's going to start the race 8th on the grid. Marco Wittmann 5th in the championship, now 40 points adrift after a difficult couple of rounds. He's got to try and come from 13th, but Marco Wittmann has come from further back in races and got himself on the podium, so don't count him out just yet. But it's a very frustrating couple of weekends really so far in this championship for Marco. The team, the BMWs, the Schubert team, they only scored 6 points at the Norris Ring because there was obviously a big DNF for Kelvin van der Linde. He didn't start on Sunday, and then one retirement out of the 2 as well for Marco Wittmann. So just the 10th place finish at the home race for the Norris Ring star Marco Wittmann, with a huge crowd of fans there to support him. He'll be hoping for more this weekend, but a very calm, cool, collected Thomas Preining. He knows that it's a big weekend. If he wants to get himself back into this championship fight, he needs to have a really superb second half of the season, doesn't he?
And with the form he's shown already in the 2 free practice sessions and here, he's going to be a tough man to beat when we get to the race this afternoon. The stewards have got a bit of work to do. So we've got Kelvin van der Linde under investigation for impeding. We've got Luca Engstler under investigation for impeding, and Lucas Auer under investigation for pit speeding. So a few little inquiries before we confirm the final grid. I don't think there's going to be any doubt at all about that pole position. He has been pretty untouchable so far in all the sessions we've had here at Oschersleben. And I should say that Thomas Preining starting from pole position, that's a pretty dangerous spot to be in. I can't remember any races where he started from pole that he hasn't won.
And it's not easy to overtake around this circuit, so perhaps more than ever, qualifying really important. He gets the Pirelli Pole Position Award. There then is your top 10. Thomas Preining and Luca Engstler provisionally are going to start on the front row of the grid. Maro Engel and Luca Auer right behind them. Ben Durr, Jules Gounon on row 3. Mirko Bortolotti, Matteo Caroli, an all-Italian row 4. Timo Glock quietly going about his business, equals his best of the season, 9th on the grid. Can his luck finally turn? He starts 9th, former race winner here, and Tom Callender with a good job starting in 10th place. We also think this is Matteo Caroli's first ever race weekend at this circuit, the Italian, so he's done a good job as well in the Ferrari, as always. And then Riccardo Fella will be disappointed, won't he, to be back in 11th, given his teammate is on pole. And Arjun Maini rounds out the 6th row of the grid. Right, let's get some reaction down with Verena.
And I've got Maro Engel here, P3, you're second in the championship, so obviously this is absolutely crucial for you. And what's your feeling for the race?
Yeah, good qualifying for us. It's tricky with this new tire. It's really one lap, and managed to nail that well. So pretty pleased. Car was handling well, and now we see what we can do in the race. Also, you're 8 points behind team, so picking up. Yeah, it's always the aim to score as many points as possible to try and keep scoring. Try and put us in a position where we can fight for the championship at the end of the year.
All right, well, looking forward to the race. Thank you. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks very much. Always good to hear from Maro Engel. He has had a good record here in the last couple of years. He hasn't won, but he was second here in 2024, and he was on the podium again with a 3rd place last year. So as I say, those Mercedes always there or thereabouts. Super slow-mos of your top 3. Then you've seen Maro Engel. That's a super slow-mo of the Lamborghini Tonneria of the Red Bull. Abt driver Luca Engstler, who was a winner here in 2024, and Thomas Preining, who is looking for his first win at this circuit with his 5th career pole position, his first pole for 2 years, continues to dominate, top of all the sessions. Last time this happened was when Matteo Caroli topped the times in both free practice sessions and qualifying, and went on to get a race victory as well. Right, let's have a look at this lap then with Thomas Preining. This is the charge down towards turn 1 at 240 kilometres an hour. You're going left, but then you're straight into the braking zone to turn right. The car unsettled into what's a technical turn, the hotel curve. Go through turn 2, build up the speed from 85 kilometres an hour. They'll be back up to 200 kilometres an hour. Then it's on the brakes into the first of the hairpins, the Hasserode. That's a 2nd gear corner at turn 3, 90 kilometres an hour through there. Triple left-hander coming up. It's called triple. It's turns 4, 5 and 6 as the circuit narrows up here. Again, the car is still turning when you're then about to hit the brakes for the right-hand hairpin that comes up at turn 7, 2nd gear again, 90 kilometres an hour. Not the quickest circuit, this. They won't stretch the legs of these engines to absolute top speed at any point around the lap. This is the chicane. Attack it as much as you can. Come out of turn 10 at about 130 kilometres an hour onto the back straight, and this is where the cars will get up to about 230 kilometres an hour. It's a slight uphill climb, and then they go into the S-bend section. Turns 11 and 12 are right and a left, taken at about 130 kilometres an hour, and then nice and smooth for Thomas Preining here. Absolutely perfect lap so far, into almost a right-angled right-hander at turn 13, and then towards the final corner at 95 kilometres an hour. Coming out of there, punch it on the accelerator, and that is your pole position lap for Thomas Preining. Right, let's go back down to Verena.
And I've got Luca Engstler with me. You'll be starting in P2 in the race. So far, I think your 2 best results were 6th place in a race. So now coming from P2, hopefully you can top that up. Sorry. Need to get out of the way because there's a car coming. We don't want to be rolled over. So hopefully coming from P2, that's looking really promising.
Yeah, it was a good quali. Obviously, the whole week felt good here. With our new car, we have ups and downs. Now we have an up again, which is great, and it's always good to be there. And hopefully a bit of champagne later. Champagne would be nice, definitely. All right, crossing our fingers for that. But all in all, I mean, it being really sunny and hot, how tough do you think will be the race in regards to track temperature and everything, and the challenge for the tires? Yeah, it will be for sure challenging, but I think that's what the fans love. We need a good pit stop, good strategy, and then hanging in. Well, best of luck, Luca. Thank you so much. And I'm going to try to grab Thomas Preining there for a second, because obviously the man who's pole setter is right here. Hello there. Well, congratulations. Fantastic qualifying for you. So how are you hopefully going to turn that one into a victory?
I hope so. It's one of my favorite tracks on the planet. So I would love to finally win a race here. I've never won, always something else happened. So it's definitely the best possible starting position to try and make that a reality today. Obviously, it's good also to turn things around a bit. The last couple of races were not so easy for us. So to at least have the best starting position now is going to help a lot. And hopefully we can turn that into a good result.
All right, well, fingers are crossed. Thank you so much, Thomas. And yeah, what an exciting qualifying. Now, of course, we're looking forward to the race in just a bit. Here are the highlights. Enjoy and see you later. You don't want to miss that race.